Spook.
Yes.
I got my Collingwood membership pack.
Oh, that's fantastic. What's in it?
It's a scarf.
That scarf looks shit house. I wouldn't be seen dead in one of those.
Do you think that's acrylic or wool?
It could be a merger of the two.
What's this box? I wonder what's in it.
Could you show the audience? It's drink coasters.
It's a 30-year badge.
Careful, you don't want a prick in you.
If I'd murdered somebody, I'd be free now. It's another 30-year badge.
Maybe that's just a love for Peter Moore.
Or Brent McCaffer.
What else does this box contain? Pandora.
What is that?
I think it's your cock ring.
Really? You thought that joke would have got better second time around.
Maybe if you sprain your willy, you can put it into a sling.
And then there's another. Looks like a key ring.
Has anyone done the cock ring joke? That's fantastic. That actually, it's got a bit of weight to it. You know, if you're mugged, you can hit them with that.
30 consecutive years.
Oh, how many is that in dog years?
In Collingwood years, I think every Collingwood year is worth 9.
Didn't they give you a certificate about how many premierships you've seen lost?
A cyanide pill.
No, well, that's for the premierships.
Well, that's certainly worth it. Thank you, Collingwood.
It was funnier the first time around.
It wasn't, really.
Maybe that'll be in the special edition, in the director's cut. He usually is.
You mispronounced cut.
It's got a silent N.
Welcome to the Collingwood Round. I'm Sly.
And it was round 0, and it just happens to be the same IQ as what I possess. Spook.
What a beanie on. Round 0. Going into round 0, did you, in all seriousness, anticipate a win, or did you think we'd get flogged?
I think I said on the rant last week that I thought we'd lose
by 10 goals,
but wouldn't be much. I think, like a lot of people, especially, and let's call them St Kilda supporters, I bought into the hype. And I think when I got to the ground, well, actually, I went to the races on Saturday and I was talking with the boys a little bit about it. And when you broke apart St Kilda's side, you're looking, I don't really see where that improvement's coming from.
Well, that's the thing. Of the 4 players they picked up, the Koenig's a good ruckman, but Marshall was pretty much giving them the same output. Flanders is a handy mid.
Ogilly-doggily.
Yeah. Liam Ryan's a really good small forward. I actually would have went after him to replace our small forward. And Silvani's had a really good season, but
did he play
last year? Yeah,
I didn't even notice him.
So there was no real, any players you think would totally move the needle for them.
No, and it's funny, like when they before the game, and I got to take it back, and I've criticised Collingwood's pre-match entertainment before, but fucking St Kilda's takes it down to a new level of shit. There was a point there they were showing all the going through the playing list, which I pretended to be interested in. I was like, I don't even know who half these people are. Yeah. Do you think St Kilda supporters know who they are?
I think if anything, it just takes out, it means they bat a little deeper than they did previously. But I don't know, outside of Nass, who was their young talent coming up? They've had a few guys that have been there for years. They've got some good players.
Cooper Cronk plays for them, doesn't he?
Yeah. Barry Breen. Barry Breen's been good.
Paul Entwistle.
Alex Jezelenko.
Does he?
That's the Carlton retirement home. All right, actually, and contrast that to our young players. So I'm going to ask you for your assessment of our 4 young guns. Will Parker.
I don't even know who the 4 are that you're going to list. Obviously, I should. I reckon he's the one that will have an AFL career.
Ed Allen.
Out of the 4 that you listed, I think he's the one who's struggling to maintain an AFL career.
I like Parker. He has class and he plays with intent. He fumbled a few times, but at least when I watch him, he looks like he wants the ball, unlike Ed Allen, who is the reincarnation of Chris Mayne without the toughness and the hardness. He's a lot of safe disposal, doesn't really throw that bulk around, doesn't really demand the ball. He feels like, when it might be different nowadays, but when you're in primary school and you choose teams, and there's always that kid who doesn't want to call for the ball in case he fucks up. That's where Ed Allen's at.
It's funny. I was thinking last night because I sat on the wing.
Most people would think every day.
And you start watching the running patterns of the players as it's heading up to our forward line, and it really reminded me of the way that my son plays rep basketball, and there's a lot of structure to the way they play when they run to the key or they're at the ring or whatever the fucking thing it's called, because I clearly pay a lot of attention to basketball. But they all run to a specific spot, and the idea being that they work the ball around until they get an opening and go in. And the way that Ed Allen runs reminds me of a basketball player. He's every single time he's running, if the play's on the other side of the ground, he stops over here and he runs his opponent up to a particular place and waits. Now, obviously, that's for the transition and all that sort of thing, but it just never came a lot of the times. And you got pretty much the whole bulk of the field is over there, and he's sticking to his guns about where he's running to. And it strikes you as one of those players at the moment that is, like we've talked about it before, living in absolute total fear of fuck up that's going to get me dropped next week. So whatever the instructions are, I'm going to carry him out to the tee, which is admirable, but it's robbing you of that creative flair or doing something unexpected. The things that you tend to do as you start getting better, where you're backing yourself and you believe in yourself a little bit more. It's like, okay, and look, how many games he played? Less than 20?
Probably about 20 or so.
We're not talking about a 16-year gamer or anything like that. He's still learning the trade and all that sort of thing. But, I think he's capable of those moments where he does do something. But they're so few and far between that you're spending all your time playing it safe that it'd be good just to see you back yourself and try.
Yeah, I reckon you're letting him off easy. I haven't seen anything different in the game he played this week compared to when he debuted. I have not seen one bit of improvement. You do see him do a good thing, and you go, okay, that's the play I want to see, and then you see him do something bad, and that's been his pattern. It's not like when you look at certain players. I'll take Ned Long as an example. He was a rookie pick. You look at him, and he had a quiet game, but you look at him when he started, and then he just escalated, and you're thinking, okay, this guy's a defensive beast. He welcomes the physical contact. He'll throw himself at the bottom of the packs, and you'll get every ounce out of his limited skill. With Ed Allen, I just looked at him and go, what are you offering exactly? At your size, you should be playing like a Patrick Cripps. Mm-hmm. I see you shove around players when there's like niggle, so it shows me you've got some mongrel in there. But when it actually comes to getting the ball and just saying, if you're in my way, you're the one who's going to suffer. You don't play like that. And I think the biggest disappointment is if you look at players from the past, like Dane Beams, who were like physical beasts, he was a fraction of Allen's size. And Beams would be throwing himself at the bottom of the packs. And I always talk about like that 209 grand final against Geelong, the preseason one, where he threw himself into a pack. I think it was that game, but he threw himself in the pack. When he got up, one of the Geelong players, I can't remember if it was Bartel or someone, but one of the Geelong players actually patted him like, well done. Really appreciate it. I don't see it with Allen. And Allen, get your fucking head into the game. Because honestly, if you have a season this year like you had last year, then I don't think you're going to have a career.
No. It was his third or fourth year.
I think it's his fourth. I think his first year he didn't play at all.
You'd want to improve dramatically this year. He does look too timid around the contests.
I always look for players who try to create play, and when he gets the ball, I just don't see him trying to create anything. He does those little dinky handballs. He's just a link in the chain, and always in those links in the chain, I always look at it from the point of view: if you weren't there, would we have really missed you? And the alternative is no. They probably could have just handballed through the space you occupied. Now, like maybe they're not playing him in the right position, but I don't see that hardness that you want to see from him at his size.
No, and you want to see it. And he's the sort of player that we need if he could grow into that type of play, if you know what I mean.
He's not just the sort of player we need. We're really, given the list profile and the lack of draft picks, we desperately require him to be better than just a goer.
Yep.
And I back Ned Long, keep saying I can back Ned Long, but he's just really a goer. I'm never expecting Ned Long to win a Brownlow like Patrick Cripps or anything like that, but he'll get every bit of return out of his skill. Allen has some skills and talents, but you look at it and you just go, when's it going to convert? I know you're only about 20 games into your career, but you are also 4 years into it. And the thing is, you look for those moments. And you talk about our previous top picks. So you look at like DeGoey. From the moment he played, he might have only done 1 or 2 things a game, but you saw you go, yeah, he's got something. You go back to Dale Thomas and Pendles and Jaden Stevenson even, and you could see right away, oh my God, they've got something. And they're not just going to be a player; they're going to be a really good player. So Allen, extremely fucking disappointed in what he's offering right now. Rowan Steele,
how old is he?
I don't know, 38.
He was
his mid-20s, I think.
Yeah. I mean, he's good for the odd cameo, but he's not damaging.
He's not. He's another player now. He's just filling a role, but I can't see him ever doing much more than what he's doing.
No.
And if people think we're going to be rebuilding on the back of mid-season draftees who hypothetically are going like 184 in the draft, and we're going to compete against sides who have just gone to the top 10 and just picked up gun after gun, you're totally fucked. Max Buller.
He looked clueless out there. There was one glaring cock-up, which is canning into the back of McStay, that he copped a fair old spray to, and rightly so. That was pretty poor. He hits packs, but he's not marking.
His hands don't seem that great to me. They seem to not really have any strength. You look at like guys like Travis Cloak and Anthony Rocker as Collingwood examples, is when their hands closed on the ball, they just were like a vice. Even someone like Chris Dawes, who didn't have great hands, who tended to double grab everything, he attacked the ball with intent. Buller, every time he went for it, he just seemed to have hands that were too small for the ball.
Yeah, look, I described him last night in the text as he looked like a mature age mid-season pickup who managed to get 4 games for Sydney.
Yeah, and look, it's early in his career. I think that the best way to sum him up is it's really feels like he's been thrown into the deep end way too early.
Yeah, look, and we talked a little bit about this before. You guys should have listened. It was good. We'll cover this a little bit more, but just in short, we had a forward line of Memory, McStay, and Buller. Now, if that's the way you're going to run with things, look, I'd say out of the 3 of them, the one who looks like he's got the most upside is West. Yeah. And if you're playing those 3 at the expense of West again running around the VFL, who's not getting game time, it probably would benefit. And we're talking from the point of the future, not just to win the next 3 games. If you're building you're rebuilding on the run type of thing, you want to get games into him now because he looks like he's got upside. The others, not so much now. You're treading water. If Buller's retained for next week, and I expect he will be, if he performs like that again, then you won't be in there for long.
Well, Buller's still relatively young, so you got the 2 other guys. I mean, Membry's 44, and McStay's about 38. We talked about this again before. Noticed Ed Healy mentioned it on Facebook I commented on one of our pictures, but just is the sort of thing we were talking about last year, is the Memory, McStay, Myercheck triptych, and it's like, it's not working, and now you're trying it with lesser parts.
What was the return this week? A goal between the 3 of them?
Yeah, and I mean, that was just a snap. It wasn't even a marking goal. I would have rather they got rid of one of them entirely. I would probably say it has to be Membry.
You would think so.
Membry's runs well up and back, but if you're going to play Buller, look, I understand if you're going to play him and try and get some games into him and try and fast track his development. Now it's him or West. One of the other guys has to be the physical body, which has to be McStay, and then one of the other guys has to be the ruckman too. This free tools wasn't working when you had much better options, and now it's not working with much lesser options. If you think this is going to click, you're going to be fucking really disappointed repeatedly. I would drop Membry, and I would be bringing Harrison up and just playing a smaller forward line and playing a lot more pressure around the ball, because these 3 guys could not mark to save themselves. McStay can occasionally grab the big one when teammates aren't cannoning into his back, or he reminds me a little bit of Sav. He has those days where his hands just seem great, sublime, and then he has these days where it's just like they're nearly marks. But yeah, I would rather be playing Harrison, especially. I thought Schultz was sublime. He was great. Applied a lot of pressure. A couple of times created opportunities just with his. There was one chase down he did where he got a hold on the ball. And there was another one where he was nowhere near the guy, but he ran frantically, and the St Kilda guy, I can't remember who it was, but he kicked it on the full. It was like in third pressure. And I would rather get a Harrison in there or even Hayes and just go, just chase. We'll kick it long.
Because you would think the way with these revised rules are working with the last touch or whatever the 58 subsections of that rule is, that someone like Shooter is going to provide a lot of pressure and force those sorts of turnovers, and having two of them would be immaculately good. But I think certainly I think in that aspect of the rules, Shooter's going to love this year in terms of what he wins in terms of throws.
Well, it would be nice to have Bobby Hill. How you doing, Bobby? Yeah, I
hope he's not working too hard today.
It goes back to what we said last week. Your whole game plan is based on get it inside 50 and then apply pressure and force a turnover, force an opportunity. You're not going to do that with free tools. Now, I know someone will point out that the one tackle Buller laid when he chased down and killed a guy who didn't realise he was coming. Great. That's not going to be the rule. That's the exception. You want to play a fast brand of football, you need a fast side. And it's quite different to what, like, if you look at what Sydney did with Curnow, McDonald, and Adamati, and you look at the way you throw Curnow in there, and those guys now are no longer 1 and 2, they've gone down to 2 and 3, and they look dangerous. You look at that third quarter, where they were just marking things, and just those guys were creating space. I don't think any opposition coach is looking at Collingwood's four-line going, oh, McStay, Membry, Buller, how do we solve this dilemma? I wager you could probably not even play someone on Buller and you would be fine.
I mean, the thing is, you don't see, with all our entries inside 50, you don't see too many occasions where someone's broken free of their opponent and leads into space. A lot of the time it's just bombed at rooftop height, and 3 or 4 dozen blokes will go up, and you obviously hope
3 or 4 dozen. That's a lot of players.
It sort of feels like when you look at the congestion that goes on down there. Or maybe it's just the way. It's probably more of a Ross Lyon thing because he pushes everyone into the forward line, and the ball comes to the deck, and then you're hoping for someone to pick it up and opportunistically kick a couple like to go in. That did, but you really do need someone of the caliber of Hill there. So remember him. That can mop up from those occasions a hell of a lot more efficiently. It just seems to be luck of the bounce at the moment that it just falls into the right hands and they've got space and they have a snap. There's nothing creative happening. Like there was another one where it went up and we had no one behind the ball, but St Kilda had about 1 or 2 sweepers down the back there that just sent the ball straight back out there again. And you go, well, what was the point of it all?
I think the other thing you got to look at too is if you're going to play De Goey and Pendlebury at times up forward, you're playing really tall. And Pendlebury's not quick, and De Goey's got like burst speed, but he's not really a defensive.
He's a bullocker.
Yeah. So you're better off playing another small. And Elliott is playing that lead up. Now, here's the thing I was complaining about last year. Elliott was virtually unsighted, so he's running around trying to find space, and McStay and Buller are just crowding it all up.
Yeah.
So what's your best forward 6? It's not what you tried last year for the whole season and then one time actually said, let's go to 4 talls because Freeze served us so well. My check was miles ahead of the 2 guys who've remained, McStay and Membry. Membry's never really been a big possession getter type forward, and he's from memory, he's never really ripped an opposition apart and kicked like 8 or 9 or whatever.
No, never going to happen.
McStay's never been a big goal kicker. And the thing with McStay, people have to remember, is he's not a young guy and he's had 3 knee injuries in the time he's been at Collingwood. So if this was any other forward, or if this was like, let's say, Mason Cox or whatever, people would be going, well, I think maybe that's it for you. But maybe you don't have anything more to give. I think because we attach this romanticism to McStay because he missed the grand final in 2023 and he's also a free agent that they got from Brisbane. And there's even like a little bit of, I don't know what you'd call it, but the fact that he's also missed 2 Brisbane flags on top of the one he missed at Collingwood, there's almost this sort of feeling of indebtedness to him. And now, look, he might be, he will have his good games and stuff like that. But right now, the setup isn't benefiting any at all. So I would really be going to McStay and one of the young guys, Buller or West. Membry would be in the VFL. After what happened last year, I think we'd have to give him a 2-year contract, but I would have been moving on from that quickly. Once Bobby Hill went AWOL yet again, I would have said we really need to start getting games in Harrison and Hayes, and let's play a really fast forward line, especially if we're going to get guys like the Gowie and Pendlebury rotating through there also. I mean, the really disappointing thing, or not the disappointing thing so much, but the Achilles heel of the side is you have this insanity of let's bomb it long, and you don't actually have a contested marking beast. It's not like you have Cloak and Rocker there who were going to take marks they had no right to take, or even Cox on his day who would take some good marks, or Myercheck. I think people underestimate how much of a loss Hill and Myercheck are. They were probably your best two forwards, arguably, two of your best three with Elliott in there. So I really wish they move on quickly from that. Just looking at some of the other players, Dan Houston.
I actually thought he was good.
You actually thought? Oh.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't want to. You thought that.
I don't want to sound too shy. It means he's ahead of the curve with his 18 months, which is good. Although he's got that new girl, the weather girl. Did we talk about this last week?
Don't care.
Maybe that's injected new life into him.
I liked the way he played with intent. He looked like he really wanted the ball at times, which at other times previously it just looks like he's drifted around.
Well, I think also too, this is the first time that him and Josh played really well in tandem too. They were complementing each other instead of pretty much.
I heard them. I was shouting it out. They're going, "That's great hair you got, Dan." It's a good 5-day growth. Josh.
High fiving a fair bit too.
Yeah.
And doing some other hand gesture. Maybe it was saying that St Kilda people are wankers. Wouldn't be that, would it? No. So no, they look good in unison. I hope that stays the same, and he maintains that output.
What I was at Quaynor was brilliant in the
fantastic.
Absence of the two main defensive.
He was clunking everything coming his way.
Here's another one I've backed, Billy Frampton. Show some urgency sometimes. Don't just let opponents just... I mean, that one, I think it was Charman running from the pocket, and it wasn't even like Charman was sprinting or anything, and maybe that fooled Frampton, but Frampton was just sort of growing progressively further and further behind him. And then Charman went for an uncontested mark. It was a contested mark, but it was effectively uncontested. He just jumped over the pack.
He flew into the pack.
And it's like, to Frampton, I don't know if you need to be on those players who writes on your hand, chase, but you don't just fucking drift. And he does that at times. He has these lapses where he's just lackadaisical about his approach.
We had probably about 3 or 4 of those type of marks intercepted where there was just a laconic approach to delivering the ball up.
Yeah.
And there was a frantic urgency to the Saints player running in and making the most of an opportunity. I was saying to my son the other day about, I went and watched them train at football, and, you can have that. Look, I have this belief that you should train the way you play. And when you take the foot off the pedal at training and whatnot, you have a little bit of a stunted approach to being prepared for the real things. And I said to him, it's not just one thing to arrive at a contest. You've got to have an impact on it in one way. Try something, do something, fist something. Well, not in that sense, but
too late to fix that one.
But just that whole jogging along, it's like someone else will take care of it. It doesn't work that way. You've got to, you just never know what you can achieve. Also, too, you may fucking win that contest for all you know, but if you're just jogging along and arriving late, well, nothing's ever going to happen. Well, and that was disappointing.
The thing annoyed me too, he jogged the line, got there too late. Jarman and Mark, I think it was him and McStay, he sort of tapped McStay like, yeah, well done. It's like...
You'll get him next time, mate.
It was like, I'm one of the biggest haters of the low fives, keep talking about it, players just follow the ball out of bounds and then so they had low five, well done, mate. It's like, I think McStay should have turned. He's your man. You should have fucking chased him. Why didn't you? It was really disappointing, and like I really like Frampton. I think he brings a lot to the side, but at times he just seems so chilled.
I don't think he could ever be the lone tall down there either, though.
No.
He's... maybe that's that role that he's used to playing where, someone else is doing that. Maybe it was the crowd size that got to him.
But even if it's like, there's no reason to let his opponent just drift off him like that.
No.
He should be chasing whether Moore, Howe, whoever's there.
There was 2 camera views of that. There was one sort of looking down on the action from the front, and there was also one that was showing, I think, when I watched the replay last night, from behind the goals, and it really was quite damning footage because he backed off pace. He's running with him, and the other guy just went, yep, I'm out of here, and he just went, yeah, right.
But it wasn't even like the other guy ran that fast. He was sort of like, he started hurrying, but he was just a big lumbering tall, and it was like, well, it's not like, it's Bobby Hill sprinting off you and you got to chase him. he went in slow motion, and then Frampton went in slower motion. It was insanity. What about that other young guy, Nick Dacos?
He struggled.
Yeah.
What was it, 41 possessions?
Yep.
That's piss weak. Seriously, get a clue, mate. No, it's 77 between the two Dacos boys. They were phenomenal last night.
Yeah. So,
and the thing with Nick is like it's almost like he's putting on a clinic at times. The way that he'll take possession of the ball, he's like the Terminator. He's already got in his brain all his options mapped out, and he'll execute it like that. And I think half the time he catches people off guard through you don't know what he's going to do. And the way that he was in the midst of 2 or 3 St Kilda players a fair bit, and backtracks away from him, finds space, and then delivers the ball. And not just delivers the ball, it's fucking with pinpoint precision.
Well, there's that one at halfback where he was in like about 3-4 St Kilda players. Let's just make 12. And he sort of turned inside out, turned around, and then kicked this ball on the outside of his foot to centre half forward where Lockie Schultz was leading up, and took it on the chest without having to break stride. And then you see people like Buller I'm just going to bomb it to a place where none of our players are. It's like, I don't really understand how one guy can have that level of vision and you can't see straight in front of you. There's none of your teammates. I mean, Nick's ability to spot teammates in traffic, even when he's in traffic and you're thinking, you shouldn't even be able to see anything around you outside of the traffic. But you come out of it and you just repeatedly nail teammates with perfect precision passing.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. Like there was the other one where he ran out of defence and he looked up the ground. I think it was Buller and McStay were the options there, and he clearly thought to himself, "There's no fucking chance these two clowns are going to mark anything tonight. I'm going to fucking Torp and having a shot." And he sailed it over their heads. And the intent was obviously that they could then break free their opponent and run the ball. But even that whole moment of you moving from a drop pass. It's not a fucking drop pass. It was a drop punt. Drop pass. What the fuck is a drop pass? A drop punt. But he's just changed his mind. You can see him flick the ball around into the Torp position, and then he's just unloaded. And that's all at full run. He's just an amazing player to watch.
I think the really astonishing thing is the range of kicking options he has, because you'll see him occasionally float one, like he'll purposely do it to give it hang time so players can get there. Or you'll see him do those sort of low flat mongrels to just get it directly to a player through traffic. He's like a golfer with just unlimited clubs. Most players just have the drop punt and that's it. The
drop pass, I think you meant.
Yeah. You look at someone like Buckley, who was a sublime kick, but it was really just a long, hard, flat drop punt.
Yeah.
That was pretty much it. I'm not bagging because he's one of the best kicks I've ever seen. But Nick just seems to have so many different options when he has the ball to actually pinpoint teammates. I
saw him wearing Batman's utility belt at one stage. He's got so many options.
There was a couple of times they had like the Goey in the middle and they had Nick, and then sometimes they had McCreary and Pendles was there a couple of times. And I just thought when they had those, like there was a couple of times Nick, Pendles and the Goey figured in chains, and you just saw like, well, that's what top 5 draftees get you. They really were playing like with a class that no one else was playing. You look at what Pendles did in the limited time. You made a really good point. One of the few you've ever made, if not the only one. But it was the thing you said, the way they handled Pendles and the Goey in terms of playing in limited game time is a much better option than just giving them a week off and destabilising the whole team setup.
Maybe we did learn something from last year.
Well, it remains to be seen. But
Pendles will be rested next week.
Well, they've got to buy in 2 weeks. Perryman tagging...
And Nas?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting because I don't think anyone expected it. I don't think even Perryman expected it. Well, apparently they threw it out there, and the idea that Fly had was to tag someone, and they were looking for volunteers, and apparently Perryman was the one who put his hand up and said, "I'll give it a crack. I'll stitch him up."
I better not say that. Yep. But he did. He killed Wanganeen.
Kept him to about 17 possessions and a goal or something. Whereas, I think as Corn said on his defence to the Collingwood Turtle at 6:30 in the morning, that generally he's left to run on his own and he's unchecked. And it was good to see what a tag did. You don't think he'll be tagged this week, do you? Though
Well, it's
We haven't
interesting.
set a template for it, have we?
But in the preseason, a few of the media commentators have talked about how Wanganeen Malura has gone past Nick Dacos.
Well, on the freeway.
Yeah, and Rowan Coventry Tayson, I think, pulled up. I think it was Corns who said the only place Nick doesn't match up is like hitting the scoreboard. And I'm pretty sure Rowan posted a comparison, and Nick hits the scoreboard.
Mm.
But Kane Corns came to Nick's defense, just said, well, Nick's been doing it since day one for 4 years, and for the bulk of that time, he's been tagged. And he's learned to play with the tag, and he's still getting his 30 possessions plus. No one's cared about Wanganeen Malera or tagging him because Kilda's just a shit fest, so why bother wasting your time tagging him? Now that he's announced as the $2 million man, and now that Collingwood's also shown, well, you can tag him out of the game, everyone's going to be doing it to shut him out of the game. Maybe talk about his past Nick Dacos when we see he's actually performing with a tag regardless.
Yeah, well, Nick obviously performs better without one and gets hampered when he is tagged. So maybe Nas can reinvent that as well when he goes past him again.
Well, obviously, most players who are tagged are going to have their influence dampened to some extent, but Nick is still generally getting his 30 possessions. Now, whether how damaging they are, it's a different matter. But it's typical in the media. They just sort of jump on the flavour of the moment or the flavour of the month.
Oh, they love their comparisons. You got to, as soon as you put someone up, you've got to cut them down, and you've got to find someone who's better than them, or allegedly better, to stir up the masses too, and then attempt to cut them down. They're very formulaic.
Yeah, I thought McRae coached really well. Tactically, he did really, he did a great job in terms of, he tagged Wanganeen Malera. With Kilda flooding back, he had Collingwood just chipping around at times
to clear it.
Yeah, his use of Pendlebury and DeGoey with limited game time was just brilliant. He's bringing, like, if you look at when he brought Pendles on late in the first quarter, it just immediate impact. But it was the sort of thing of let a bit of the pace sort of go off it, or a bit of the the early nerves and stuff, and then bring Pendles in, and he's just going to be composed immediately. So I thought his coaching was really good. The big problem is still going to go back to the personnel. He might get more in Howe back this week. He might not, but it's like, look, of the players coming back, who's really, Moore's definitely has to be part of that side. I'm not convinced Howe has the durability anymore to play a whole season.
No.
So you're going to really need someone like Reef McInnes to step up. But then who else is there? Now you've got the draftees from last year, like Prindable and Anderson and Swadling. And then you got Harry DiMattia from, he's been there for like 4 years. But no one's really screaming to you like, this is going to be the difference between us being preliminary finalists and a flag team.
No, there want to be some massive upticks in developmental performance this year.
Well, you're going to get that because they just don't have that on the list. So how are you going to manage that?
I don't know. I mean, it's clearly not about giving them a senior game time. I mean, some of them perform well at VFL, but if you're just not going to get your shot, I think when the side came out this week, it came as no surprise. It was all the old firm yet again. He's pretty rigid with that stuff.
But the thing is, it's all right. So I've sort of changed my perspective on McRae to some extent. I don't think he's handled some of the youth well. Like, I still don't think he'd really handle Finn McRae well. But on the flip side, given he just kept playing Ned Long last year, obviously when you tick off the metrics he likes and defensive pressure is going to be part of, he will back you. The fact that no one else has been able to stamp their authority or claim a spot is really concerning.
And that's what I'm saying, is you're not going to be given developmental time in the seniors. You clearly have to earn it. But the problem is, if you don't sustain it, you're pretty much out again as well. It's not serving any purpose. I mean, you don't look at the VFL as a great melting pot for talent or anything like that. It's mixed the way it's played. It's not really indicative of the pressure that's at senior level. But how do you get that exposure if you don't get that exposure? All the best you're going to do is run around and hopefully there's some inferred pressure at training.
I think the question is, if at a lower level you can't dominate, then why the fuck would you dominate at AFL? Now, I'm sure there's probably been some player, like Kev Shaw, I think, was unspectacular at VFL level and then just was immediately a different player at AFL level. But that wouldn't be the rule. That's the exception. So if these guys can't beat up on some shit affiliate sides, which are full of ringers and all that, Why the hell would you expect them to do it at the AFL level? And if they could do it, why haven't they done it already? Like I remember the Macrae's talk about Finley Macrae and just said, yeah, you're too good for this level. But obviously that wasn't translating across the AFL level in a way that pleased Fly. Still be interesting to see how Finley does at West Coast. If he's given an open license, being in the shitter team, he probably will be just played regularly. But the concern is, like, I don't look at the list and go, I want to see this guy. Maybe Harrison, but it's one small forward. And then Harrison wouldn't be getting a game if Bobby Hill was available and fit. So,
I mean, I went to training once, and once swallow a summer doesn't make. But I like the way that Jaff moves.
Yeah, he's one.
And someone that sort of reads the ball well and has real good burst pace is a great intercept marker as a defender. And I think that's something that we really want to get. I think the problem that's holding him back at the moment is size, in terms of he's still stick thin. You're going to get bashed around too much if you're pushed up too quickly. But at the same time, you can't fatten him up and wait 4 years, 5 years for him to hopefully come good. You want to start seeing some exposure may show that there's a little bit more there. But yeah, they're the ones that you want to see get some little bit of additional loving to get the opportunity to.
The thing with Jack is, I mean, we've got 19 halfback flankers, so it's where they really, the two places they really lack are the key position and the midfield.
At both ends.
Yeah, so...
key positions.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, the key position and the midfield. They really need someone to help take the focus off Nick, because, we talk about like, oh, well, Nick's going to get tagged. Well, if you have someone like, let's say, DeGoey playing in All-Australian squad form, which I don't think is unreasonable to ask, given his skill, is just whether you can keep him out there. But then it becomes a case of, well, now we have to watch DeGoey. Nick gets the slip away. You look at the Gold Coast Suns midfield, where there's just so much talent in that side, the Nepo babies, that someone's always going to escape. And you saw, like, Petrarca, like, if there was questions about whether he can still play, I think he answered them. But what's helped is he's in a side that's just so full of talent that he can, he can play he's playing effectively a role like McCreary, but he's got all this talent around him that's freeing him up.
It's just icing on the cake.
Yeah, so I really, I said a couple of years ago, I wish we'd gone after Oliver, because if you can keep him on the straight and narrow, he adds some genuine class in that midfield. Potentially would have kept Tom Mitchell for another year. Again, this is based on if their their body's all right. But it is a big concern for me that midfield just seems so thin. And then if you look forward to next year, where potentially Pendles and Sidebottom won't be there, it's like now it gets a lot thinner. And then the bigger concern, which someone posed, my cousin Nicholas posed this to me once a few years ago when we were leading Hawthorn by 5 goals, and then they came back and they nearly won. And that was a game where they subbed Pendles off at like half time. And he said, do you think that really influenced enough? Well, that's pretty stupid. Seriously, he's one player really going to destabilise you that much, but apparently he does, because he's, as you said, he's a line coach on field who's telling players what to do. He's G'ing them up. He knows how to, he knows how to motivate them. So
he's amazing at both roles.
What happens when you lose that out of the side?
Do you know at one point I saw him in there? He was playing in a polo shirt and slacks as a line coach out there. That's how good he is.
So you're taking over Dane Houston's role. Maybe we'll give you another 18 months. Any other thoughts about this game?
Oh, look, I think if you had to summarise it, it was a respectable hit out. It was awesome to win, and I think it was awesome to win because you silenced the hype.
Did you say it was awesome to win?
Awesome to win. Awesome to win. What did I say? Awesome.
You said awesome.
Awesome.
It was more convenient to win.
No.
I think that show you liked watching, that Starfleet Academy, they had something like that in it, didn't they?
Shit.
Oh, they're talking to...
No, it was just I think and I said earlier on I got sort of sucked in a little bit to the hype bandwagon. It was good to stick it up them, and they walked away. I think the Saints supporters licking a few wounds. They obviously bought into the hype as well. I mean, some of them came prepared to the game though. They were wearing hard hats. Clearly, they knew the sky was about to come tumbling down on them. But it was a good win in the context of things. It's not one that set your season or anything like that, but it was good to win in the circumstances.
Surely, if you want to be, fitting into St Kilda culture, you wouldn't wear a hard hat. You wear a chastity belt.
Why?
Craig McRae. This is from your friend John Ralph. Do I go to like pose like him? He does that little hunched up shoulders. He always has that little fucking smirk, like he knows something people don't.
What's the hanging judge said this week?
Craig McRae confirms the Pies have changed their Copeland Trophy voting system to reward the extreme games, he's put it in quotes, when asked about Nick Dacos in his press conference. Dacos was beaten by Darcy Cameron last year in a system that rewarded consistency. Let's call it the Dacos rule.
He just had to say that last bit, didn't he? Yeah, he just like, can we make some controversy around it? And so I think I didn't read the comments of the tweet, but you said the general consensus is that they have to change the rules now
they referenced also to Brownlow, like, and they changed the Brownlow rules where they'll consult stats. And it's like, you do realise that stats thing's been an argument for years before Nick started playing.
But you've also seen a lot of these award ceremonies skewed now that they are landing. I mean, the winners are generally, they deserve it, but there are better players out there. And the thing, like, with the Copeland is it's not just about a 3-2-1 system. There's a whole bunch of points that are allocated on wearing the right underwear and having your socks half-mast, all that sort of stuff. Playing a game gets you a point. Not missing a game, you're behind. It is a bit of a strange old structure, and it's worked reasonably well throughout the journey. But I think as the game evolves, some of your voting systems have to go with it. I think the changes to the Copeland were necessary to make it a bit more, reasonable. And so what? There was something in the press conference I heard Fly say about in case of extreme games, and Nick's game tonight was an extreme game, so that you get bonus rounds?
Or, I don't know.
So yeah, look, I think it's just typical Ralph Malph trolling for reactions.
I was laughing.
Can't just report the fucking statements. Has to add something onto it to make it conjecture.
I think some people have speculated on the Copeland for years before Nick arrived, just in terms of like what you're talking about, the voting system. You get votes for, like, you just get a vote for playing. So I also look at it from the point of view, sorry, it's going to sound really unfair to Darcy Cameron. Most people would have looked at last season and said Nick should have won that, and if your voting system didn't recognise that, that's a flaw in your voting system that has to be addressed.
Yep.
As opposed to, let's rig the voting system to give Nick a fucking win. If you don't think Nick would win one regardless, you're seriously unmoronic. And then reading through the comments, like, and people talking about the Brownlow now, the umpires get to consult the stats before they vote, which again, that's been something discussed for years before Nick started playing. It goes back all to, I think Greg Williams had like 43 possessions in the game and didn't get a single vote. It's insane that I should stop reading social media, because there's two things I really hate. I hate the fucking counter of, yeah, nah. Well, that's genius. You've totally outwitted anyone you're arguing about when you use that. And the other one is, which is what a lot of people said, changing the voting for one player. Got it. What, like you're in on some conspiracy, you fucking idiots. It's really, the thing I really hate, and now people can stir it up, and it just goes back to the state game. I don't get why Nick is getting booed to that extent. You see this guy interviewed, he's just extremely humble. He's always courteous. He's never dirty. He's not like, Judd fucking gouging eyes out, or Selwood, who would be clipping players fucking high and getting away with it and shit like that. But for some reason, he's just earned this reputation as like, oh, what an overrated hack from a lot of people. And they just boo him. And then you get so many opposition supporters who are just trying to cut him down. You had that idiot a couple of years ago, Sam Walsh is better than Nick Dacos. It's like, just fucking give the guy his dues. Why do you feel the need to rip him apart?
I've said this before, but I can't fathom why the elites of the game, you want to take them down a rung or two. They're the ones you get the most joy out of watching. They're the ones you say to your kids, you want to be a better footballer, you go watch these guys run around. You don't just make it exclusively Nick, though it's not a bad place to start. But these guys like Rowell and Nass and all those, they're fucking greats. Yeah. They are the absolute upper echelon of some very talented players. And you get joy out of what they do, what they can pull off. Some of the things that, you can't bring petty supporting behaviour into shooting down someone who's just done something immaculately good.
You're just bringing prejudice into it because you were so insecure about players in your own team that you feel you need to try and tear down someone else. Now, I'm sure I've given shit to other players, but like, in terms of like, like I always say, like my favourite non-Collingwood player is Patrick Cripps. I think he's a fucking beast. I would have loved to have him at Collingwood, even though I hate Carlton and I want to see him fail all the time. I could go look at other players and go, really like him. There might be somewhere I go, I think maybe he's rated a little bit higher than I would rate him, and vice versa. There's guys I think this guy should be really rated a lot better. But I don't fucking feel I need to go boo him and then go post on social media, oh, they changed the rules for him. It's like you don't think this guy, if all things stayed equal, you don't think he wouldn't win the Brownlow and the Copeland by himself? Well, if you go back to 2023, when we won the grand final, if Nick hadn't missed the last 6 games, he would have romped in the fucking Brownlow. So, and then you get these things like, and this is not because Nick didn't win the Brownlows, but you get these things like where Lockie Neal won the Brownlow, and in 2 games he got like 15 possessions and 17 possessions, and then Raoul's done that also. And, even going to, I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, but there was that one Queen's birthday or King's birthday game where they must have got the Dacoses mixed up because Nick got subbed off at like 3/4 time, and Josh had a blinder of a game, but Nick got 3 votes. Is you don't think the umpire should be able to actually assess whether their initial opinion is actually commensurate with what the statistics are telling them?
Well, they can't fucking assess decisions that blatantly happen right in front of them.
Well,
how can you expect them to go back and adjudicate the value over 2 hours?
Well, just going back to the game, what do you think of the fucking umpiring?
Fucked.
I mean, Matthew Lloyd actually mentioned it too. He just said he thought Collingwood got a really raw deal. I didn't say really raw deal, but he said he got the rough end of it.
So Grant Thomas came out and conceded that, and he talks about, when it comes to the Saints, he talks about us. But he said, they got the rub of the green himself. So, I think it's not just us being petty or anything like that. I think the crowd was pretty much unruly over some of the calls last night, and I think the media's come out and reinforced it. Well, it wasn't a great display of umpiring.
Well, it was that horrific one. I can't remember who tackled it. The guy dropped it, and Sidebottom picked it up and thought we were getting a friends to stop playing it, and then he was tackled, and it was identical to the one the St Kilda player had just committed, but it was like, oh, well, this one's a free, but your one wasn't. There's a lot of, the hole in the ball rule's fucking broken. You talked about it, like they might as well just get rid of dropping the ball. Because
it is. Look, the thing is, like, if you fuck up trying to get rid of it, then you're pinged. If you just drop the fucking thing, it's play on. Well, but you are far better off not even trying to get rid of the ball. Just let it fucking fall.
Or give the impression that you're trying to get rid of it. But there was that Frampton one where he was tackled and then the ball sort of flew loose and he punched it and it was considered a throw. And the commentators are saying he would have been better off just letting it fall. And it's like, if you let it fall, that should actually technically be dropping the ball. I hate these. I've had arguments with people on X about this. It's just like, for me, the hole in the ball rule is really fucking easy. If you don't legally dispose of it, it's a free kick. And they don't give a fuck if you're tackled and it's impinged your capacity to get a legal handball or kick away and then you throw it or drop. That's a fucking throw or a drop. Anyone who thinks different is seriously... I won't say it. Anyway, let's go good comments. Magpie Army Chronicles. Cool. The rant is back.
Is it?
Exclamation mark.
Oh, fuck, I'm going to watch it.
David Hatley, 2010, and you beauty of a dynamic duo are back. What about the fucking bear, man?
Is there another Batman TV series coming out?
Wow, you're not really doing too well tonight, are you?
That utility belt's going to come in twice as handy.
Magpius X, maybe a Spartacus fan. Jupiter's cock. Good stuff. Given how meh our season could be, we're going to need you guys more than ever. Yeah, well, that's true. The Third Eye Wizard. Love the new intro. Glad the real men are back with real talk, and take it from me and someone who is a family member of Bobby Hill has informed he is partying hard and has no chance of playing this year, if ever again, for us. Okay, we're just reporting what's been posted. We're not making...
That'd be doubly disappointing if that was true.
Timothy O'Kane.
Who's he?
Love these two. So much fun. These two folks should get Super Luke on board. Wow, it's back, folks. Old Pies men.
Do we get subtitles to translate that into English?
Thanks, Timothy. Appreciate your enthusiasm. Timothy O'Kane, is your studio in Thornbury, by the way?
Yes. Come and visit.
It's actually in the International Space Station.
Is it?
Yeah.
We all float up here.
Timothy Kane, Old Spook, Sly days. Wow.
He's got a bit of time on his hands, Timothy O'Kane.
Yeah.
Has he got anything else to say?
No, I got rid of the other ones. I had saving paper. Sergio Montoro, welcome back. Sean Milson, love the Houston take, LMAO. I can't remember what our Houston take was last year.
What's LMAO?
Last week. Laughing my ass off.
Landing Mars, anal observations.
Hellenic Pies, Carlos, I can't pronounce the next one, guys.
The Jackal.
Team in progress again. Ashen Prism, the rant is on the AI train, just like Sam Mitchell. No, everything you've seen is real.
No, we're not, though.
Yeah, well, he isn't. The footy's back when the two best sensible glass, half full, stats driven, never criticise the crap. Wrong channel, love the rant. I was wondering who he's talking about.
Yeah, me too.
Sean Milson, again. You're right about Bobby and not turning up to work. He's still getting full pay. WTF.
What's that stand for?
What the Floriat Thai Picker. The Corona brothers are back. Read the ruck rule. Greg Swan, EGM of footy, said the AFL wouldn't look to change the rule back unless there was a pandemic of PCLs. Fucking genius. Would you take it?
I'll take it. Would you take it?
Depends whose ruckman goes down for PCL. What, Lorraine? What?
What, Lorraine? What?
Calm the Pies. Playing the might of Adelaide.
Are we?
Yeah.
You going to be wearing the cock ring?
No. What do you think?
We'll probably lose this by 10 goals. We're playing here, aren't we?
Yeah, they weren't very good this week, Adelaide.
Weren't they?
No.
They lose.
Not even play.
That's disappointing.
Yeah, I don't think Rankin's back because he's got the 6 weeks or so.
Ah, he'd be back for the Oz, wouldn't he?
Was he missing 2 more? I can't remember. Because I
saw Harris Andrews got 3 weeks. We play him in 3 weeks' time. How do you think his appeal this week's going?
Yeah, I actually found that funny because I was showing it and Dunster was sort of defending him. I think he's throwing Young back to Shepherd. It's like, really? Like the fucking karate chop that was part of the Shepherd?
He said judo chop at the time. He's going to go the fly defence, though. He's just going to say that he was just trying to brush a fly off his face. He's that sort of bloke.
Have you ever considered hiring a comedy writer?
What's a comedy writer?
Where'd you get turds to write your comedy? What do you think? Like, all right, so
Spider be that funny.
What changes? So hopefully Moore will be back.
Well, you'd think so because he was tearing it up on the training track last week. So whatever concerns are with his calf, he was certainly putting it under test-like conditions. So I imagine he should waltz back in.
What would your changes be?
So
they get to have a bye the following week.
They've got a couple of big, tall forwards, Adelaide, haven't they? With
Tilthorpe and Tex Walker and
Rokitansky. What's his name?
Ben Burden and
Leroy Jenkins.
Tony Modra,
yeah, that's another one.
Malcolm
Blight, yeah. So I don't think we can go with a
Fogarty.
Yeah, that's the one. With a shorter forward line, so you're really going to have what's his name? Peter Moore come back in, definitely. Because really, and it's the more you think about the way our forward line's dysfunctional, just like my speaking.
Just like your PC.
Fuck, you want to bring Moore in and put him up forward at the moment, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you?
Well, I've only said that for fucking 10 years, so what's going to happen now when I have no defenders?
Because, the reason being is I thought defence actually worked really pretty well. You had no Max King or anything there on the weekend, but I think the Saints had a similar forward entry style. I think they probably led to the ball a little bit better than we did, but there was a lot of bombs to big, tall, and they couldn't hold a fucking mark either. I don't think Adelaide are going to cut us that much slack, so we're going to have to go a little bit taller in defence this week and then move more up forward the following week, I reckon.
During the bye?
Yeah, so, look, I think certainly more in. Who goes out? You could drop Buller in a heartbeat, I think, after that performance. But
Buller and Membry would go out. That would be my foot. One of those two would be the first to go.
The other thing, who's the ruckman for Adelaide? I don't fucking watch any other
Riley Stevens or I can't remember.
Riley Thilthorpe.
No.
Is any good at this new rules? Because Cameron struggled with it.
He's terrible.
He stuttered a lot of his...
He struggled with the old rules as a ruck.
But the thing is, I think, ruckmen like that, they could almost be phased out relatively quickly for these springboard, high-jumping rucks, because there was the smallest amount of... I don't know about the other games, but we had a real low number of ruck contests that we had to go up for.
Okay.
Centre bounces, whatever it is. It was just I'm sure I read somewhere it was a low number. So maybe Tim O'Kane can put that in the comments. He's a stats guru.
I have no idea where are we?
My brain was going into what could we possibly read there.
I don't know where we are now.
But well, the thing is, like, who relief rucked the other night? So Buller went up a couple of times, I think.
McStay and Buller rotated it.
You know, could you remember a single fucking contest? Did they win anything? I don't think they did. But you know, De Koning, for all his worth, is you know, he's got a good vertical leap, and that seems to be all you need to do now. Is it run up to the line and not cross it, or some fucking ridiculous?
Yeah,
So what I'm saying is, you know, you're putting a lot of fucking reliance on Cameron to do the bulk of the rucking now. Do you really need to carry a full-time second ruckman around? No, you're probably not going to bring Steen or who's the other guy, Lilliput, the other speculative ruckman we've got. You're not going to bring him in. So you got to go with that. Who's your lesser of two evils to run second ruck? It has to be McStay.
If I drop Membry, McStay and Buller can still rotate the ruck. Now, if you drop Membry and Buller and then bring in West, then McStay does the ruck. Yeah. So it's a. I mean, the big problem for Collingwood is like if Cameron went down for PCL or something, as he did in 2023.
Well, now you've done it.
Then you just got this big gap of no real ruckman. You know, for people's criticisms of Cox, he was a really good ruckman. Now you don't have
to just see how he goes. With these new rules this week.
But you know, you're going to be playing either Steen or Schmidt.
That's the one.
Or you're going to be playing McStay as like a part-time ruckman. And the thing is, the big problem at Collingwood is because that midfield efficiency, you really can't afford also to be losing ruck contests to some great extent. Because the midfield's already struggling to get their hands on the ball. So if they're never winning tap-outs, then it's just going to be a bigger struggle. I mean, one of the probably things about the St Kilda game is that the times they sort of just waltzed it out of from centre clearances. You know, the Coney got his first hands on it, and then they just sort of handled and broke. I really wish we sort of had a better ruckman, but it's all right. Cameron's brilliant around the ground.
And that's the thing.
But as a tap ruckman,
he had some really good clunks he took in defence. Yeah, you're not going to replicate that.
Yeah.
So but the thing is, like, if you fuck these centre jumps up, you're essentially giving them the centre clearance because it is a free kick to whoever now, isn't it? When you do cock it up.
Yeah, I mean, if you cross the line or whatever, I mean, let's see how long they pay it anyway.
Well, that's the thing. As we said, about 3 weeks from now, it's all going to be forgotten.
Yeah,
so a bit like the stand rule.
Yeah. Well, so what's your tip?
Playing here, hostile crowd. Big crowds work for us. You know, bigger the better.
They don't work for Buller.
If we bring in another 60,000 people, well, that could kill Buller.
140,000.
We could win.
All right. Oh, look, I'm tipping against the win by 4 goals. As I said last week, I think just too well coached. You know, we showed composure against St Kilda, even though they dominated large passages of play. But the thing you have to watch out for is St Kilda were extraordinarily inefficient, and that's not a model to win, that we're going to be more efficient than the team who has many more entries but just isn't converting, because at some point other teams are going to convert. You know, the big argument is like maybe St Kilda converted a few and, you know, pulled ahead, then we would have lifted our game and matched them, but you don't know. But it's just, my big concern with Collingwood this year is losing Mychek and Hill. You really are now like, I don't know who's going to kick your goals, because the guys you've brought in aren't really noted goal kickers. And you can't model your game on, we're just going to be so extraordinarily efficient that even though we have 25% less forward entries, we're going to score more than you. It's just not going to work as a long-term model. You know, maybe they'll throw the goalie at forward at some point, or at full forward, but that would be my big worry. For this week, I'll just be dropping Membry and playing more. And, you know, I wouldn't mind them just throwing more up forward for a bit and just say, let's have a look at that. But obviously they won't do it because he's not that revolutionary.
They'll do it when there's 3 minutes to go and we're 30 goals down.
But for the Buller, like, I'd be saying, hey, look, we're going to give you this week, but we really need to see a bit more awareness out there. You know, we understand you're young, we'll forgive some errors, but you really need to, one, not run into your own players. and 2, show maybe he might take a mark or 2 every now and again as a tall. So I don't think that'll happen, but I would really be going to a model of 2 tall forwards and then playing Harrison as the third, another small forward. But yeah, the thing too is Elliott is basically playing like a tall when he plays as a forward. He's playing as a lead-up forward, and he's the best lead-up forward they've got in that side. He's better than Myercheck at it. Anyway, so I think we'll win by 4 goals.
All right. I'll say we win by 5 points.
Any final thoughts?
We'll win by 6 points.
All right, cool. Anyway, like, subscribe, leave comments. Look out for new announcements in the future.
Yeah,
or is the future where
we're all going to live.
Yeah.
And the utility belt's there.
Later.
Da-da-da-da-da. We should probably talk about football.